Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today is a very exciting day. I will be testing the new matte base from Revolution and I'm so excited for it. It claims to be pore blurring and full coverage, and that's exactly what I need. I need a nice matte foundation but not to feel like a Sahara Desert. Pore blurring? Yes please. Full coverage? Yes please. So if you would like to know what the matte base from Revolution looks like on an oily, acne prone skin, just keep on watching. So about a week ago I saw this post from Makeup Revolution where they essentially informed us about this launching. I was excited to see that post because essentially what this claims to be is the Fast Base's matte sister. Obviously there's a completely different medium here. This is a squeezy tube, this is a stick. However, don't mind it. I didn't mind this either, it just didn't last very long on my skin. I have extremely oily skin, and because this is a cream, it did break down. I did have to powder it. I'm not a fan of having to powder my foundations, so this should be ideal. I also got the mystery box because there was an offer. I will be unboxing that in my next video, so look out for that. Matte base foundation, 24 shades, which is great. It's definitely something everyone can find. Designed with Team Matte mantra in mind because not everyone can do dewy. This full coverage foundation offers a mattifying solution for oily, blemish-prone complexions. Long-wearing, lightweight, diffuses the appearance of pores for blurred, airbrush-like finish. The matte base powder is in 19 shades. This weightless, silky soft powder blends effortlessly into skin for natural finish that will help to keep the shine at bay all day. This multitasking face powder can also be used to highlight and contour. And I got two of the matte base concealers. These also come in 24 shades. Smooth and creamy in texture, this concealer dries down to a comfortable matte finish, covers blemishes, uneven skin tone, and counteracts dark circles. And I got two because I got one that's the same shade as my foundation, so I won't be highlighting my face with this. Probably should have done that, but I did get a darker shade to contour with. I also got matte base concealer kit, and it's 3 concealers and a powder. So I'm going to take my powder lid and open the matte base foundation. It has the typical, what is this called? A seal. Let's check the consistency. Nice and creamy. It's not too liquidy, but it's not too thick either. I don't have to squeeze the tube too hard. By the way, I got the f6.5. I know this is slightly too light for me, but I still don't know what shade I am, and I didn't want to risk it. As always, I'm going to start with a sponge on one side and maybe try a brush on the other. Oh, it is quite thick. I don't think it's like full coverage. It's like a light full coverage, but it does feel very comfortable. It's not too heavy, and I quite like the finish. It's still quite wet. So with the first layer, I would consider this to be like a medium light full coverage. You can still see the redness from underneath and you know, the discoloration. I'm also noticing that it's quite drying and cakey looking around my mouth. Pore blurring, I don't know about that actually. I'm gonna add one more layer and then maybe I'll be able to see that pore blurring, what was it? Yeah, pore blurring effect. Let's try it with a brush. What's very strange is that initially when you put this foundation on, it does look like it's going to be full coverage, but then as you blend it, it does shear out and the brush leaves streaks. So I'm going back to my sponge. Like, I don't mind the coverage that it has, just not as good as it claims to be, in my opinion of course. I'm going to let this dry and add another layer. It does build very, very well. It's definitely not full coverage. I feel like I still can see the redness on my cheeks through this foundation. So this is the coverage after 2 layers. I don't see any pore blur effect. It's super cakey around my mouth, and all those tiny little fine lines around my mouth. I'm going to take this matte base concealer. Actually, I'm going to conceal my under eye first with the same shade. I'm surprised. I don't like these stick concealers usually. This is not bad. Quite creamy, which might crease. It spreads quite well. Not a fan of how that's looking. It already creased into my fine lines under my eyes. But again, I'm not expecting much because it is a stick. However, this contour could be really good. I got C13.5. Could be a little warm, but at least I could like maybe bronze at the same time. I'm going to try a sponge on one side and then a brush on the other again. Yeah, it doesn't look bad, it's just a little warm. I actually do prefer it with the Expert Face brush. Have a little bit more control with how it spreads. I even feel like it looks a little bit better with the brush. Jesus Christ, look at this. Oh my goodness. And the foundation hasn't set matte either. You need that powder, and I'm so glad I bought it. I also have this, and maybe I could use it. Oh my god. This is super, super waxy. Like, the pigment's not terrible. So creamy and oily. No thanks. Oh, they sent me the wrong shade. Great. I just realised that they sent me the wrong shade. I definitely picked up powder number 2. They sent me P1, which is fine because I just essentially wanted a powder that's slightly too light for me, purely because I found that if you set your foundation with the same shade, it just ends up looking a lot darker. So I always go one shade lighter than my foundation. What do I want to do? I definitely want to tap out my creases. This does not dry. And I will take my sponge to take some of my powder. It does work and set my under eye. Looks very nice, feels very smooth. I'm also going to powder my lid because I did use that concealer to kind of prime my lid as well. Didn't think it was going to crease that much, but I guess it'll be a nice test. Even with this powder, which is lighter, so much lighter than my foundation, you can see, especially on my nose, where I powdered, it seems to be a lot darker than where I haven't. So I would always recommend just going ever so slightly lighter with your pressed powder. Loose powder, translucent ones, don't alter the shade of your foundations. Look at it! That is terrible. So you definitely will have to set them. The powder makes it look very, very nice. I really like how this looks on my cheek there. That contour shade. It's quite natural, maybe not on my forehead, it looks a bit orange on my forehead, but this right here, very, very nice. The foundation hasn't set. I will take a fluffy brush, a little bit of that powder, and I will set the rest of my face. I'm going to do the rest of my makeup and I will get on with the day. It is currently 11. Let's get on with the day. It has been bang on 2 hours. How pretty is this liquid thing from Revolution? I filmed a video where essentially it's like a very, very small giveaway that will be up on Sunday. So make sure to watch that and let me know if you actually want these things. Let's get back into the wear test. You can see that I'm getting not oily but like dewy and natural finish. It's like no longer matte. This will get oily very, very quickly, I think, because it's very, very creamy. I can feel it on my skin. I can feel how creamy it is on my skin. I really do like that powder. It doesn't hold the shine as much. It did mattify my under eye. It didn't make it look cakey. Watch me when I come back from my driving lesson, which will be in the next clip. I just know I'm going to be oily. And this is my face after my driving lesson. I told you I will get oily. However, I have to say, after blotting, which I will do in a second, it will still look quite nice. There's no, like, I haven't rubbed it off anywhere. The coverage is still the same, apart from that spot, but that's okay. It maintained its shape. It's still on my face. It has been 5 hours, and for 5 hours, yes, it's oily, but it's holding up really, really well. Let's blot the face. This is a perfect spot for you to see how shiny I am. Now it just looks like a natural finish foundation. There is a little bit of transfer, but this is very common. It often does happen. I kind of like it. There's no disturbance. Coverage is still the same, but the foundation does look really nice. It's not as full coverage as it claims to be, but it does keep on the face. I think longevity wise, it will be a decent foundation. 5 hours in, I'm pretty happy. Hour number 7, darlings, and I'm a mess. I need to blot yet again. I did blot, left it, and after 2 hours, obviously the shine came back. But other than that, the foundation, wherever I am blotting, is still there, even though there's a little bit of transfer. There's a little bit of foundation that's missing around here. I must have budged it, and maybe you can see a little bit of redness on my nose as well. It's long lasting, however, I didn't see a massive difference in a pore blurring matter. It's not as much as it claims to be. The only thing that it doesn't actually claim to do is that it's long lasting and it doesn't budge as quickly as some other foundations do. Longevity wise, it's still holding up. It gripped to the skin really, really well. Pros and cons. There's a lot of pros and cons. Okay guys, if you made it this far, welcome to Greasy Face Central. I know I look terrible and I look very, very oily. It has been officially 10 hours. I am ready to take this off. This foundation has not really lost its coverage. I mean, it lost a little bit of coverage, but it is still on my face. Still on my face, big time. Where my eyeshadow is, in this area, there's no concealer there anymore. It's not very matte, not for very long. However, it does wear very long. It's not the worst foundation, but for £5, I probably would go for the Collection Lasting Perfection Weightless foundation, to be completely honest with you. Yes, I did look a mess at the end of that as well, but it just stayed matte for a little bit longer, I think. I'm not going to blot. I'm going to go and wash this off, and I hope you have enjoyed that. If you did, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Be here on Sunday because there's a giveaway. So I'll see you on Sunday.